Ryan Day taking over a program that has had 7 straight seasons of 11 or more wins, the longest run in Big Ten history. And now with Urban Meyer retiring, it is Day who takes over the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming off a 13-win season and a Rose Bowl victory a year ago. Has a lot coming back, 63%. More of it on defense and offense. Remember, it was the defensive side of the ball where they had challenges last year. Among the key returnees, J.K. Dobbins, over 1,000 yards each of his first 2 years. First Ohio State back ever to do that. Chase Young, you heard Rick Pizzo and Jay Lehman singing his praises just a few moments ago. Of course, Dwayne Haskins is gone after 50 touchdown passes a year ago, a Big Ten record leading the nation. Ryan Day, the new head coach of the Buckeyes, is with us. First of all, Coach, congratulations. It is the first time you've been through this whole drill as the head coach. What's been the most exciting part of it so far?
Oh, I don't even know. I haven't had a chance to think about it.
You haven't processed yet.
No, just from place to place, ping-ponging around. And
not being on the desk with us.
It felt like such an obvious response, didn't it?
I knew he was.
I wanted him to say something nice about us.
We got to be on for more than a minute before I can do that.
All right, we'll recap at the end
Okay,
what
right,
the most
sounds
exciting part of it has been. Have you had a moment yet where you've looked at this and said, what in the world just happened here? I mean, for you to a year ago, I mean, look, you're in a high-profile job to begin with. I mean, as the offensive coordinator of a big-time program, but now to be the head coach of one of the absolute most historic programs in college football.
Yeah, I have. I tell people that the time when it really hits me is when I walk in the Woody and there's pictures on the wall of all the former coaches that have come. And when you look at the guys who have come before, it is daunting. And then you see a picture of me at the end, and it gives you some pause and makes you realize you got big shoes to fill. But I think that's life. You know, I think that, you know, the way you plan things sometimes isn't how it all works out. And when opportunities like this come, you got to jump on them and make the best of them. And, you know, best laid plans, you know what I mean? It just doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. I always saw myself in a position like this. To tell you I thought it was going to happen like this, no, that's not the way we thought it was going to plan out. But my family and I are really excited about it, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Coach, Justin Fields come in, you lose 2 quarterbacks, you're a young coach at a historic program, your voice is always going to be heard. What's your feeling about transferring and not having to sit out a year? Do you think that's where we're going? Do you think we should go that way? Or do you think that rule should stay in place?
I think it's a really complicated issue.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think for me to sit here and say one way or another would be a little naive, because I'd like to go through a year of being a head coach and then sit down at the end of the season with the coaches, with the administrators, with the ADs, and really have great conversation about that, because it scares me. It does, for a lot of different reasons. I think it can turn into free agency, but I also see the other side of it where, you know, kids want to have the opportunity to go to a different place and play. So I understand both sides of the argument, but I'm very cautious to just jump on one side and make a bold statement without really having a year or so to really think it all the way through.
Coach, take us in the quarterback room, because when you have a transfer and you have some young players in there, who's the voice in that room when you're asking the questions about where are we going to go with this particular look? How are those guys adapting to that?
Yeah, it's a unique situation, including the quarterback coach, Coach Yersich, you know, who's also our pass game coordinator. He and all of the room, other than Chris Chuganoff, are brand new. So, you know, he was still kind of going through it and learning our language and everything like that when we were going through in the spring. And I'm in there a decent amount. Corey Dennis had been in there a little bit before, but other than that, that's it. And so this is a very young group. And I think we're coming off the heels of Dwayne Haskins, where he showed up on the scene and went from 0 to 60 so fast without playing a lot of games. But that was a very different situation. Dwayne was going into his 3rd year. These guys just showed up a couple months ago. So it's not going to be that fast. It's going to be a journey, and it's exciting to see where it's going to go.
Reva mentioned in the opening that you had some challenges on defense last year. So what needs to change on defense? I know you've changed the staff, but specifically, where do you see the improvement coming from?
Well, you know, not really talking much about last year, just kind of moving forward, you know, putting the staff together. I wanted to make sure we were really sound in the run game. And so having Greg Madison and Larry Johnson with their history in the Big Ten of stopping the run and having guys up in the front who know how to stop the run was really, really critically important. And then matching that up with Jeff Hafley, who's tremendous in the back end. He's already building a great culture back there, teaching guys technique and understanding some of the coverages. I think that's, the idea of this whole staff coming together was meshing the back end with the front end. But to your point, stopping the run was going to be number one.
How about on the offensive side as far as guys that are starting to show that leadership that they've got to do it? Dobbins has obviously got to be one of those guys that has to step up. But are there some other names that we're going to be able to hear that they're going to emerge as leaders this year?
They are. I don't think we're there yet. We're replacing so many guys that just going through the offseason isn't enough. Now, that being said, KJ Hill is, 48 receptions away from breaking the all-time school record for most receptions. He's got a lot of experience, so he's a natural leader for us. Austin Mack and Benjamin Vick also have to be leaders for us, but there's 3 guys who were really good captains for us who were wide receivers last year that we're going to miss. That's not going to happen again, and so it's got to come from the offensive line. It's got to come from the tight end room and from J.K. Dobbins.
I always felt game day offensive coordinator had a tougher job than the head coach. I think that's the toughest job there is in football on game day. Are you going to continue to call the plays, and is that something you want to do down the road, or is it just something during transition?
Yeah, Kevin and I, from when we first got here, we would kind of do it together, and then I had a little more of a hand in it last year. And then, he's still going to have a huge influence on all of it. I am probably still going to call the plays this year, being my first year. I know that had a big part in me getting the job, so I think that's part of it. But eventually, I would like to step away from that and kind of have, somebody take over.
What are some of the keys for that linebacker position? Because there's so much talent there. Now with Coach Washington coaching that group, what are going to be some of the keys to being successful there?
Well, I think that it comes down to production. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Guys got to tackle, they got to diagnose plays, they got to see where it is and make plays. And we do have a lot of depth there. But really, my vision for that room is what the defensive line has been, which is the guys who have come before have been really great players, and then the older guys have mentored the young guys, and a lot of guys play. And if we play with depth, it's only going to help them in the end because we play a long, long season.
How much have you leaned on Coach Meyer in this transition?
Yeah, so he's been unbelievable. I think, a lot of people would ask, is Coach around too much? I got to tell you, he's been unbelievable. He's been there when I've needed him. He understands when to step away. He's been great. And, he's been nothing but a resource for me, obviously leading up to this point, but being the head coach at Ohio State, who's a better resource than Urban Meyer and the legacy he's left. And, boy, it's really hard to replace one of the best football coaches to ever coach the game. and I understand that. And having him as a resource has been huge for us.
What kinds of things, without giving away any trade secrets, but what kinds of issues do you ask him about? Like, what are the challenging parts of the transition that you need another set of eyes on?
Well, there's just so much that goes into being a college football coach, more than I think, in an NFL coach or anything like that, just because there's so many different areas, whether it's in recruiting or dealing with academics or, your staff. I just think there's so many different areas. And one of the things that a coach did an unbelievable job of was motivating the staff. He did an unbelievable job of getting guys to games and making sure his team was healthy and how he practiced. And all those things come into it because there's just so many decisions that have to be made on a daily basis.
I think one of the things that'll be tough for Justin coming in, being the guy, is it the guy that had the production last year. So how do you help him stay within the game plan and not try to live up to something someone else did and playing his game?
Well, first off, Justin has to win the job. That's people just assume he hasn't won the job yet because we're still not even there yet. He hasn't been in here more than 7 months. So we're still in step one here, which is, to your point, is having those conversations on the front end, is the expectations have to be managed. Is that, you're not going to come in and throw 50 touchdown passes next year. I mean, if it is, then we're all partying somewhere. But that's not the reality of what this is going to be. He's got to play smart, understand the plan to win, and the plan to win is take care of the football. And then hopefully we can grow as the season goes on, understand, what this offense is going to look like based on our personnel. And then, but our season's funny this year. There's 6 games, a bye week, 2 games, a bye week, and then 4 games. And that first 6 games, we're going to need our defense to play well. We're going to have to run the football and take care of it.
Any change in your sleeping habits?
Boy. Yeah. I can fall asleep, but I don't stay asleep.
What do you do when you wake up?
I jump out of my bed with some sort of thought in my head.
We take a look at the schedule there for Ohio State, and of course going on the road against Northwestern, the rematch game of the Big Ten championship game on the road against Michigan as well. One of those games on FS1, the other one on Fox. As you look through that season, we kind of know what the expectations are at Ohio State. How do you define success for this program on an annual basis?
I think it's hard because every year it's national championship, and that's what's expected there. But I think if you focus on those type of things, you get yourself all distracted and out of whack. And so I know it sounds coach cliche and a canned talk, but it's true. You have to just focus on right now because there's so many twists and turns that are going to come around the season. However you think the season's going to go, it isn't going to go that way. It's going to go some other way. And then building all of the things in place for when the obstacles and the challenges show up during the season, you have the relationships to work through them and work through the adversity when it hits.
Coach, before we let you go, this is the first time you've been through Big Ten Media Days in this position. What's been the most exciting part of it?
I would say by far being right here with you guys.
So I think we can work with this guy. Huh?
He doesn't make the same mistake twice. That is a great trait.
We're going to be able to work with this guy. I love it. Ryan Day, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you on that camp tour in Columbus.
Absolutely. See you guys soon.
All right.